Hello, everybody. Welcome to Corsair Creations. I'm Quade Kundle, and we are joined by the illustrious Cornboy. He is one of our biggest, most influential helpers on this whole project. He's been half the reason that Tide-Realm Corsairs has some of the visions that it does. And we wanted to sit down and talk today a little bit about how the project came together, what each team member's role has been on this, and what makes bringing an indie company and an indie company's toy line to life, because there's so many layers of what makes it what it is. It's not linear, and the creative flow is probably even more intuitive than you would expect, depending on what you're doing.
You shouldn't call me illustrious. I am anything but illustrious. I'm sitting here in my sweat jacket and t-shirt. I am not illustrious. I never have been. But
There's
how
nothing
you doing,
illustrious
Craig?
going on here. I'm doing all right.
Very good.
And sweating every single day as we get closer and closer to launch, and I don't sleep anymore. But other than that, I think Pirates got a
Everything will
lot of
be
stuff
fine.
there. Yeah, I think so too. I learned an interesting fact the other day, kind of like
Really?
Pirates depended on citrus in combating the whole effort of scurvy in the 1700s.
Right.
Apparently, they relied on corn just as heavily as they did oranges and things like that.
What?
So
Wow.
apparently, if people had been following you around in the 1700s, if you'd been there, they all would have been just fine. Caribbean would have been scurvy free.
I'll be darned. I didn't even know that. I thought
I
it was
thought it
all
was,
oranges and like
yeah.
lemons and limes and stuff.
Well,
That's
it was apparently things that didn't spoil very quickly was their main motivation, and corn was one of them.
I'll be darned. Huh.
Yeah, that was new to me as well. Let me grab my notes here, and you and I can just. This will happen a lot, so be prepared. We'll dive right into it.
That's all right. I'm ready.
So, one of the most fun points of conversation that I get to talk to with fans all the time is the origin of the collaboration. And the fact that when we first reached out to Four Horsemen Studios, we were, for lack of a better term, flying blind. I've been a toy fan and part of the community for a long, long time, but actually reaching out to an entity about an idea was a completely foreign concept, and let alone having that entity help bring that idea to fruition. And we kind of expected a lot more clinical response than what we got from you, which was very open-armed and warm, for one, which is just how CB is anyway, but extremely informative and educational and protective of an IP that the company didn't have any knowledge of yet. You guys were first and foremost making sure that we had all our ducks in a row before there was even any imagery in front of you, and we felt really, really safe with that. It was extremely encouraging. And so that was my first impression, was just how transparent and welcoming the Horseman was as an entity. What was your first impression just of Tide-Realm once it was in front of you and the whole idea?
Well, I think that if you're talking about being kind of open and welcoming, we were once there too. We
Yeah.
started out doing all this kind of stuff, and we really had no idea what we were doing, like working for other companies and then starting our own company. So when other companies come to us and present us with an idea for a project, we're more than ready to welcome them, because we were you at one
Yeah.
point. And just we like the idea of helping out somebody who's just starting out and trying to do something. And so when Tide-Realm Corsairs came, which it was a different name
Uh-huh.
early on, but when it first came to us, we were sitting there like, this is really cool, but it's probably another guy who, like, people come to us all the time and say,
Uh-huh.
hey, I would like to try this. And then when we tell them the cost of it, especially when it comes to production, that's a huge cost.
Yes.
They kind of say, oh, okay, I'll get a hold of some funds and then come back. And then we never hear from them again.
Right.
But you were very, very, like, you were just ready to go. You're ready and raring, saying, well, I will try my darndest to do this. And my wife is on board. And that was like, that's really impressive, because a lot of
Yeah.
people, the wives don't even know about it. And so
That's
we were like,
funny.
okay, let's go ahead and see how this goes.
Well, I figured it was kind of like that. You get a lot of people that, you know, sometimes they have a great idea and are shooting off the hip and just want to see what it is. You get the big numbers in front of you and it scares you. And we went through the same thing. It's not that it wasn't frightening, but the prospect of not doing it was more frightening than dealing with what the numbers were. And that also made us extremely comfortable that you had such an accurate ballpark of what those numbers were right out the gate that we didn't feel like there was as much guesswork going on. And that was,
I mean, there's always a little bit of guesswork when you do this stuff.
Yes.
Nothing is ever the same. Like when you do a project, even the stuff that we still do here today, every single project has its own little intricacies that we don't really know of until we get to that point. And then it's like, oh crap, we have to do this. And it's, you know, it's different every time. But when it's people coming in with outside projects, something that's not our own IP, then we have to kind of take into account they have their own idea on this, and we just need to try to facilitate their idea into this and hopefully make it the best that we can make it.
Right. I hear you say all the time, we just try not to suck, which frankly is an understatement to everything you guys do. I don't see any sucking on any level at any point.
Well, we're attempting. Hopefully it'll continue to be that way.
You guys got a solid Kickstarter under your belt like 3 or 4 times already, so I think there's been the suckings at least minimal.
Like this latest one was phenomenal. It blew me away. I had no idea. Like, we had talked about doing this project with the RPG game, and I just thought, okay, it'll probably do well, but it, probably won't do as well as we would expect an RPG to go. I mean, you can't like do Wizards of the Coast. You can't do their numbers right out of the gate. But I never thought that we would hit the number that we hit, and we would never reach those final stretch goals.
Right.
But Jeremy, our marketing director, just kind of had an idea of where this was going to go and where it was going to land, and he was dead on.
Yeah.
Again, he's always dead on. It's crazy.
I had a really good conversation with Jeremy about stuff like that just the other day.
Yeah, Jeremy is an incredible guy. I keep saying it, and it's a little bit facetious, but really true.
Yeah.
He's probably the best investment we've made as a company. He's spectacular.
He's very, very good.
Can't say enough good things about him. And I don't
think
the
type of people you want to work with.
The vocabulary to say enough good things about him. But
that just means you have more compliments for later once you think about it.
That's it. Once I learn new words.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to go to the book of Sesquipedalian and find some more adjectives for Jeremy, and you'll be set. And he'll appreciate that. We were curious when it came to because you and I have had this conversation a couple times, but since it's all IPs are out in the open now for everybody to look at with what's available. I know there was a really, really interesting balance of figuring out, who fit in where between Dawns of Discovery and Tide-Realm Corsairs and how that balance fit in. And it was that first impression that we were most curious about how the team felt, simply because of the different elements you'd be balancing.
Well, when you first came to us with the Tide-Realm Corsairs, we were a little bit kind of shaky on the subject because we couldn't say it, but we knew that we had a similar thing coming up. We're not doing pirates and stuff.
No.
But we had some seafaring characters that were going to go to new lands and stuff like that. And that wave, at least, and probably future waves, were going to be based around that. But it was still set in the Mythic Legions mythos. And when we looked at your characters, we were saying, all right, if we do this in the proper way, then I don't think there will be any problems with our IP. No. Getting confused, being problematic. So we discussed it. We actually, we have a company meeting every week. Yeah. And one of our weeks, most of it was about Tide-Realm Corsairs, and
that's really cool.
Could we even do this line, because it was so similar to a project that we had coming up?
Yeah.
and it seemed to be everything worked out.
Everything did work
You
out.
have fantastic ideas. I've obviously seen a few things that are potentially coming up down the road, and I think they're great ideas, but they aren't quite the ideas that we already have with the Mythic Legions. What's it called?
The Dawns of Discovery.
Dawns of Discovery.
It's still
right?
new to everybody, yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's something that you guys
I
are
never remember the
communicating.
names anymore, though. So.
Right. All the taglines after about 10, 15 years, it's like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
The sea guys, they're wet, something like that. Well, there's such a aesthetic communicative difference between what you guys have approached, and it's funny when you hinted towards, we might have some sea creature type things going on, don't tell anybody, which of course we didn't. And the whole time in the back of my head, I'm wondering what's going to happen at Legion's Con. I don't think that Bulwark could have looked any more like what I figured you guys had in your back pocket. He was so cool to see revealed, and was also not a surprise to me at all. So there's no way
he's my favorite of the wave.
Oh yeah, he's epic. He's really, really cool, and I think people are going to have fun with whenever they're able to complement the two lines with each other, because they're wildly different. But I know folks are really, really interested to see somebody like Charybdis paired with Bulwark.
Oh, it's Charybdis. I've always been pronouncing it Charybdis. But
it's close enough. It's close enough, and I can see how Charybdis makes sense. I mean, he's a crab, it's a crustacean type thing. Make total sense.
That was my thinking. Charybdis
is actually it's not a play on word, but it's a respelling of a very old sea myth that's pronounced exactly the same way. It's just the original spelling is super weird. It has like a bunch of C's and H's in it. But Charybdis was this Leviathan type sea legend that we brought into what made Charybdis what he is. Anyway, it's we ran into a couple different pronunciations with that, and we had to decide what was the most distinct, and it seemed like the original actually flowed off the tongue the best. But the cool thing about these guys is that they're whatever people want them to be. That's one of the things that we love most about your guys' IPs, is that you can create all your own lore that you'd like, but eventually at the end of the day, the person purchasing the toy and projecting themselves onto it, that toy is what they would like it to be. They can come up with.
That was one of the things that we had always talked about doing, was we wanted to create a line where, we have a general idea of the structure of the line and the characters in the line, but we wanted people to go in and be able to create their own way. We didn't have any plans for the customizing that's been done on our line now. The way it's done now, it's insane. But we did have an idea, you can pop these apart and reform them so it's a different character. And we thought that was a cool idea, that people could own the line themselves, by creating their own characters and their own ideas and their own storylines. And we thought that would be cool. Obviously, it's gone a little farther than all that.
Right.
But it was that was the original start, and the original intent is we wanted something to be to have a standard storyline and standard characters, but to be able to create your own. And I think you're doing that with Tide-Realm Corsairs too. I think it's a great idea.
I think it's the very first thing beyond just looking at Horseman's cool action figures that stood out to me above all, was the admiration I had for seeing a toy company establish the ability to give the consumer some actual ownership over what they're consuming, rather than, I have a cool Darth Vader figure, but that's kind of where it stops. This is something that transcends that level of imagination, because it comes in a box and essentially kind of stays in that box. And with this level of, non-licensed IPs that have the freedom to express themselves as intended, the creator has just as much freedom as the consumer. And it's something that's really, really, really irreplaceable. And you guys have defined. And we're having a lot of fun figuring out where we fit simply within that definition, because that sandbox play of creating this open-ended world where people can do exactly what they'd like within the confines of what makes it what it is something that's hugely valuable and is provided extremely well within the indie sphere, and Kickstarter specifically have fulfilled that in many, many different ways.
Yeah.
One of the
Kickstarter is an amazing resource.
Yes.
Like it's not just an amazing resource as far as, you know, our toys are concerned, but for everything. You can do anything on a Kickstarter and like create any kind of project or anything. And it's just like when it first started, I was like, what is this? This is crazy.
Right.
And George was really into it, saying, you got to start, you guys need to do a project on Kickstarter. You need to like put one of your lines on there. We're like, why? That doesn't make sense. But he was right. It was like Kickstarter is the way Four Horsemen Studios started. It's how we got our start. We probably never would have been able to make our own lines and do them, you know, do them well and get them out to a lot of people.
Right.
If it weren't for Kickstarter and the people who were just going through Kickstarter and see your stuff, that's priceless. That's priceless. I mean, I'm sure that there are people that were not aware at all of Four Horsemen Studios or Mythic Legions, but they went through and they saw the RPG or they saw some of the characters and they said, oh, let me check this out. And they got into our RPG Kickstarter, which I just can't say enough good things about.
I think the RPG is a testament to exactly what that platform does for that format, that type of creator, that level of exposure, and the fact that you know, you guys and your team brought together basically two different products and put them into one category, and you know, let your already established fan base have basically free reign with what you're offering, but then integrating it into a completely new fan base for people that are already kind of tapped into that genre, but it's highly complimentary. It wasn't confusing to me that it went as well as it did too, and you guys made everything highly affordable. It's just, it wasn't shocking to me that it performed so very, very well, and we couldn't be happier for you guys, because
thanks.
Absolutely.
Now you have an idea of how to do it, huh?
Right. Well, that's the other thing is that we have all
really,
these.
That Kickstarter was, like I said before, that was all Jeremy. Like he took it over and really just kicked it into high gear. It was really well done.
You could see his hand throughout a lot of it. There was a lot of pieces within there that I recognized some of his work and approach, and I think that's one of the reasons we reached out to him recently too, because he's just this wealth of insight and is very instinctual about some of those things. Does very, very well.